Michael had always dreamed of becoming an actor. He had spent endless hours reciting lines from Shakespeare, perfecting his monologues, and practicing his facial expressions in the mirror. So when he heard about auditions for a serious role in a prestigious theater company, he knew this was his chance to shine. Dressed in his Sunday best, Michael arrived at the theater feeling nervous but excited. As he waited in line with other actors, he couldn't help but eavesdrop on their conversations. They were talking about method acting, taking on the persona of the character both on and off stage. That's it, Michael thought, his eyes widening with inspiration. When it was finally his turn to audition, Michael gave it everything he had. He poured his heart and soul into the monologue, his voice trembling with passion, his eyes welling with tears. The director, a stern-looking man named Mr. Thompson, watched intently, his eyes narrowing in concentration. Days later, Michael received an unexpected call from Mr. Thompson. "Congratulations, Michael. You've been cast as the lead in The Tragedy of Romeo and Juliet. We were blown away by your audition. We can't wait to see you bring this character to life." Michael was overjoyed, but little did he know that Mr. Thompson had mistaken his passionate performance for genuine talent. Determined to immerse himself in the role, Michael went to extreme lengths. He wandered the streets of the city, reciting his lines to unsuspecting passers-by. He spoke in iambic pentameter at the grocery store, leaving the cashier baffled. He even began referring to his girlfriend as Fair Juliet, much to her annoyance. His friends and family were initially supportive, but as the days passed, they grew increasingly frustrated with Michael's over-the-top behavior. They couldn't understand why he was taking the play so seriously. His best friend, Steve, tried to stage an intervention, urging him to step back from the character. "Dude, it's just a role. You're driving everyone crazy with your Shakespearean monologues and dramatic flair." But Michael was determined to stay true to his method acting. On the day of the opening night, chaos ensued backstage. Michael, dressed as Romeo, continued to speak in rhymes and poetic verses, confusing his fellow actors and the crew. The director, who had grown increasingly exasperated with Michael's antics, watched in horror as the play spiraled out of control. As the curtains rose, Michael took his place on stage. He delivered his lines with such passion and intensity that the audience couldn't help but burst into laughter. The more they laughed, the more fervently Michael performed, unaware that he had become the punchline of the show. By the time the curtain fell, the audience was in stitches, some even rolling on the floor in hysterics. Michael, bewildered by their reaction, stepped off stage to thunderous applause. Mr. Thompson approached him, a mixture of anger and amusement gleaming in his eyes. "Michael, what on earth were you doing?" he exclaimed. Michael, still in character, replied with a dramatic flourish, "Methinks, sir, that I have achieved the ultimate tragedy, through laughter." The cast and crew burst into laughter, unable to contain themselves anymore. And so, Michael's disastrous performance became the talk of the theater community. It wasn't the serious role he had dreamed of, but it was a performance that would go down in history as a hilarious and unforgettable moment in theater. And as for Michael, he eventually learned the true meaning of being an actor: to bring joy and laughter to an audience, even if it was unintentional.